just was one of those nights where nothing would fall, whether it be layups, mid-range shot, a three-pointer, even free throws. I usually don't even miss free throws, so I just knew it. When those free throws weren't going in, it was just, I mean, it's 82 games. There's gonna be nights like that. But I just tried to keep at it and keep shooting the shots that I was getting, and it opened up a little bit for me, but it was not enough.
The Celtics fall to the Detroit Pistons 99-94 after leading most of the game and then a big collapse at the end. We're going to talk about it and talk about what's going on in the locker room on this episode of the Garden Report, powered by Grandstand on CLNS Radio and Celtics Blog.
Yes, I'm the boss.
Welcome to the show. I'm Jared Weiss. I'm joined by Jimmy Toscano and Sam Packard. We're going to go right into this one. The Celtics were leading and controlling. Was it a bad loss? It was a loss. Was it bad, though?
It was a good loss.
So, good losses aside, this one was pretty bad. So they were in control of most of this game during the first half. We kind of slipped a little bit in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter, so they go to Hackadrum, or Hackadre as we're calling it now, again, and it works. He misses 2 free throws, he gets taken out of the game, and then Detroit went off. KCP was huge, Reggie Jackson was huge. Jimmy, what happened there?
They hit big shots. Detroit hit, I think it was a combination of the Celtics, as we've seen them do to actually bad teams this year. They take their foot off the gas. The Pistons are not a bad team. You cannot take your foot off the gas against the Pistons. They are arguably just as good as the Celtics, if not better. And we saw a couple of big shots tonight between Reggie Jackson, Stanley Johnson. And yes, they took Drummond out of the game, so what did they do? They went to their scores. They went to those guys and they said, hey, if we're not gonna let you guys just hack Drummond, because we've seen this play out before. We know this guy can hit, three free throws out of 10. So put the ball in the hands of a guy like Jackson. He hit some huge shots down the stretch, and it was just a combination of those things.
I think the other side of that is the Celtics shot terribly, like pretty much they always do. They're not a great shooting team.
No.
They came out in the first quarter, I think they were shot around 60%, and then the final 3 quarters it was 29%. They don't have half-court offense, and Isaiah Thomas was pretty dreadful tonight until that stretch where he scored 12 straight points in the fourth quarter. If that didn't happen, they would have been blown out. They just don't have an answer other than him, and it's something we've talked about all season.
Isaiah Thomas had an injured finger tonight, which I guess was affecting him, but he actually had the worst shooting performance of his entire career going up until like the last 5 minutes of the game.
1 for 16 or 1 for 15?
It was 1 for 15, and then but on that same play, he got a rebound, hit the layup.
Yeah.
But a 2 for 16, he had just passed that mark of worst performance of his career, and then he hit 4 in a row after that, and that's what brought them back into the game.
He hit 4 in a row, but then he missed a couple of huge free throws. So
did Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, who drew a free throw just for being Marcus Smart, I guess.
That was a flop. That was hilarious, and he got called for a foul on the other end, and it was good karma, but that was a flop, and it was kind of great.
Well, ball don't lie, because he missed a free throw anyways.
There you go.
The other thing to mention is the bench was terrible tonight. Even though Isaiah Thomas struggled early, he had 10 assists, and every other starter was in double figures, but the bench only came up with 13 points tonight, and you saw it in the start of the second quarter and the start of the fourth quarter. They just couldn't do anything on the offensive end of the floor, especially when Marcus Smart was the lead facilitator. He can't just, I don't know if he's hurt, but he just hasn't been able to attack the basket the same way we saw he did earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think he touched upon it before, just saying how they just don't have enough offense. There's not enough guys in the team that can score. If Isaiah Thomas is having an off night, which shooters do have, they can't just be shooting 50% from the field every game. There's nobody to sort of pick up the slack. You know what I mean? Marcus Smart had a dreadful night from the field. He doesn't look right yet from coming back from an injury. Evan Turner is a hit or miss guy, in every sense of the word. I still love Evan Turner in the game. I still like what he brings you on offense, because he brings you what Isaiah brings you, but he's just bigger, so he can do a little bit more in certain situations. But there's, with Avery Bradley missing, they're really lacking on the offensive side of things, and it came back to bite them in the fourth quarter, because they don't have a Reggie Jackson type guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this was addressed in the locker room after the game, so we're going to get to that in part 2. Before we go, we got to talk about 2 things here. First off, Comcast Sportsnet New England, who you happen to work for as well, is doing a Celtics 86 series. I think it's a 14-part series covering,
it's actually awesome.
Looking back at the 1986 team.
We all remember that team, right?
Oh
Remember
yeah,
that team.
remember I was alive and kicking back then, at -4
We
years
were
old.
all there. for
80s
that.
But
man,
no,
wild
but
time.
if you're a Celtics
Wild
fan and you haven't really caught up on all the incredible tape from that incredible season, you got to watch this. It's
Definitely.
pretty
'Cause
awesome.
You can't just trust your dad and your mom. Like they embellish.
Your
the
dad
game.
was a little more biased than
Yeah.
you realized.
And
Probably.
he was drunk off his ass
Yeah.
during
Yeah,
this
that's
game.
right.
So you
Definitely.
get
It was the
real
mid
footage.
'80s. We all were.
Hey, anything went back then.
Okay, so let's go to Grandstand. So Grandstand sports highlights from fans in the stands. On the new sports app Grandstand, you can share your own Celtics highlights and watch other fans' videos straight from the crowd. So download Grandstand on the App Store or at grandstand.me. Let's go to that play.